In 2020, the United States created trillions of dollars almost overnight. There was no collapse, no hyperinflation spiral, even no currency panic. But when other countries print far less, sometimes only a few billion, their currencies crash, prices explode, and entire economies unravel. Same action, wildly different outcomes. So what's really going on? Most people are told a simple rule: printing money causes inflation. But that explanation is incomplete and dangerously misleading. Because if printing money always caused collapse, the global economy would have imploded years ago. Instead, something stranger is happening. Some countries can print enormous sums and remain stable. Others can't. And the difference isn't discipline. It's not intelligence. It's not morality. It's systemic power. Money doesn't exist in isolation. It exists inside a web of trust, demand, institutions, and global dependency. And unless you understand that system, nothing about modern economics makes sense. This is why people feel the world is unfair, because on the surface, it looks like some countries are allowed to break the rules. But the truth is darker and more precise. The rules are the same. The positions inside the system are not. To understand why, we need to stop thinking of money as paper and start thinking of it as a claim on trust. Because money only works if other people believe it will still work tomorrow. And that belief is not evenly distributed across the world. So what makes one currency trusted and another fragile? To answer that, we need to look at what money really is in the modern system, and who depends on it. Modern money isn't backed by gold. It isn't backed by silver. It isn't even backed by physical assets. It's backed by confidence. Confidence that the government will remain stable, contracts will be enforced, debts will be honored, inflation will be controlled. When a country prints money, it's effectively saying, "Trust us. This will still be worth something later." Powerful countries can say this and be believed. Why? Because their currencies are deeply embedded in global systems. Take the US dollar. It's used to price oil, settle international trade, pay global debt, store reserves. Entire economies depend on it. So when the US prints money, demand doesn't disappear. In many cases, it increases. Foreign governments still need dollars. Global companies still transact in dollars. Investors still buy US bonds. This creates a feedback loop of trust. But weaker currencies don't have this protection. When a fragile economy prints money, investors don't see stability. They see risk. They sell the currency. Capital flees. Imports become expensive. Inflation accelerates. And suddenly, the same action, printing money, produces catastrophe. Not because the policy is different, but because the system position is. Money isn't judged equally. It's judged relative to power, credibility, and dependency. This is why economic advice often fails poorer nations. What works at the center of the system breaks at the edges. And once confidence is lost, printing more money doesn't fix the problem. It exposes it. The global economy has a hierarchy. At the top, currencies that are globally demanded. Below them, currencies that are tolerated. At the bottom, currencies that are constantly questioned. This hierarchy isn't official, but it's real. Countries at the top can borrow cheaply. They can run deficits. They can print money without immediate backlash. Countries lower down face constant pressure. Any sign of instability triggers capital flight, currency depreciation, higher borrowing costs, which forces governments into brutal choices: cut spending or collapse faster. This is why crises hit some nations overnight. Not because they suddenly became irresponsible, but because trust snapped. Once that happens, markets don't wait for explanations. They react instantly. This also explains why international institutions often demand austerity from weaker countries, while powerful nations face no such constraints. The system is designed to protect its core, and currencies are judged not by fairness, but by usefulness to the system. So when people ask, why can't every country just print money like the US? The answer is uncomfortable. Because the system doesn't need every currency. It needs stability at the center, and if the edges suffer, printing money doesn't cause collapse by itself. It reveals weakness. Strong systems absorb pressure. Weak systems fracture. This is why two countries can do the same thing, and experience opposite outcomes. In powerful economies, money creation flows through deep financial markets. It's absorbed by global demand. It's regulated by credible institutions. In fragile ones, money creation floods limited markets. It outpaces productivity. It destroys purchasing power. The problem isn't the printer, it's the structure surrounding it. This is also why blaming leaders misses the point. A new president can't print credibility. A new policy can't instantly rebuild trust. These things take decades, and until then, some countries will remain trapped, unable to use the same tools others rely on daily. This system isn't accidental. It evolved to protect global stability, but it also locked in inequality. Some nations gained flexibility, others gained discipline whether they wanted it or not. And as global debt rises, this divide is becoming sharper. Because the more money powerful countries print, the more fragile the edges become. Understanding this doesn't make the system fair, but it makes it visible. And once you see it, you start noticing the pattern everywhere. In debt crises and bailouts, in currency collapses and policy limits. This is why power today isn't about sovereignty alone. It's about position inside systems. And that's what systemal control is about. Not blaming, not conspiracy, just understanding how outcomes are shaped. Because in the modern world, survival isn't about rules. It's about where you stand when the system moves. If this helped you understand money differently, subscribe. The next video explains how debt became the most powerful weapon in modern politics.